Why do you want to arm school children?
I want to educate young urban students on the safety of a firearm, the respect of a firearm, and the responsibility of a firearm.
That just sounds like an excuse to give kids guns in the schools.
Well, it might sound like that, but we work with Colorado Uplift and A Precious Child and use their students to teach them gun safety.
What could be a better idea than taking at-risk urban youth and giving them firearms? Well, we're going to find out in just a second, but first, subscribe and like our channel, click that little bell icon for notifications, and find the Devil's Advocate podcast on your favorite listening app. Mike Mills from Clay Connections. Why do you want to arm school children?
I want to educate young urban students on the safety of a firearm, the respect of a firearm, and the responsibility of a firearm.
That just sounds like an excuse to give kids guns in the schools.
Well, it might sound like that, but we work with Colorado Uplift and A Precious Child and use their students to teach them gun safety.
I've seen your foundation in action, and it was really amazing that this on the outside looks like some sort of gun sporting thing, but I saw these high school kids come alive and really focus in on shotgunning. So you're not giving them AR-15s, you're not, there's no bazookas out there. You're giving them regular shotguns, not giving them, and you're teaching them how to bust up clays. Why clays?
Well, obviously a clay is an inanimate object, and we felt that that was the best way. We're not hunters. We're learning gun safety, respect, responsibility, and in a safe environment.
And for those who don't know, clays are those clay pigeons that get thrown in the air and you try to shoot them down with a shotgun, which is a really difficult thing, not for you because you're a master, but for me, really challenging sport. You came up with this idea to say, let's take at-risk kids and let's get them outside. Let's get them out of the concrete jungle for a while and get them out breathing fresh air and doing something very, very different. Not shooting things on a video game, but actually going out and learning this. So I know you talk a lot about the gun safety, but before that, talk to me about these kids. What is it that they actually learn besides how to handle a gun?
So they learn about gun safety because when they come out, all of the shotguns have trigger locks. We talk about ammunition, and all of the ammunition is locked. So first, when they see the environment, they're seeing that firearms stored safely. And often when they walk into some friend's house, firearms aren't stored safely. So that's where we start, is about how to safely store a firearm.
And you're right, kids are not taught gun safety. There was a time that was kind of a mandatory American class. It wasn't to teach you marksmanship. It was to teach you how guns work so that when you run into one of the over 400 million of them, and you will, you're not stupid with them, you don't hurt yourself or somebody else. So kids don't get that. And the people who need it most of all are in the urban areas. Because if you're out in the rural areas, you've grown up with guns. You know how these things work.
Well, and the fact is, back in the 50s, they did teach gun safety in schools. And now only 3 states are teaching gun safety in high school. And that's Utah, Arkansas, and Tennessee.
Oh, you mean the redneck states?
Oh, yeah.
So what's your passion on this? Why have you built a foundation to do this? It's such a particular thing, reaching out to at-risk kids and giving them this new experience. Why this way? Why is this a passion?
Well, so I'm passionate about children. I'm passionate about firearms, and I'm passionate about the clay sporting world. And so to be able to combine 3 of my passions for a purpose, we've partnered with these nonprofits that also are aligned with our beliefs that kids don't know what they don't know. And so who's going to teach them? And so we built this facility just for the kids.
Where is the facility?
It's out in Bennett, Colorado at the Valhalla Bayou Sporting Hunting Grounds. So it's 500 acres on Kiowa Creek, and it's just spectacular.
All right, so you're not actually putting the kids out there to hunt like some science fiction book, or you're not hunting kids.
No, we don't use words like kill. We're breaking clays. We're not weaponizing these shotguns. We're using them as a tool.
Who are these kids that come out?
So they're from Denver and Aurora schools, ages 14 to about 19. This year we've had over 180 out.
Wow.
Yeah. And since its inception in 2023, we've had over 350 kids out.
So I was out there one day, and you were showing me around. It was just a wonderful facility. And all of a sudden, this van comes up with a bunch of inner city high school kids, and I talked to them, and I asked them why they like doing this, and some of them was, well, I've never got to do anything like this before. And one person said, it teaches me how to focus. And another one said, I like being outside. So all these different things. What's in it for the kids besides learning gun safety, which they need? Well,
I think it's giving them an experience that they normally would not have the opportunity. It's an expensive sport, and shotguns are not inexpensive. Ammo is not inexpensive. And so to be able to give them this opportunity and empowerment is really what's in it. I mean, these kids, after they've been once, they're like, Mr. Mills, when do I get to come back?
Focus for me on the word empowerment. What are they empowered to do?
They're empowered because of education. Like I said before, if they don't know, if they've not been educated, they have no knowledge. And so we're taking them outside their comfort zone and bringing them really to a place where it's, number one, it's safe. Number two, it's a controlled environment. And number three, we only ask them to do what they're comfortable doing. I do get students that come out and say, Mr. Mills, I thought I was ready, but I'm not ready today.
Really?
I said, that's fine. Would you like to just take some pictures holding a firearm? Well, I'll do that, but I'm not ready to pull the trigger.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Give me a story of one of these kids. You must have had a couple that stick in your mind who've come from a different background, and then this has changed them somehow.
I have two stories. One was in the first year, and I had a young student named Frankie. Frankie got out of the van, arms crossed, looking around, and he was with two other students. So I always ask, what's your experience with firearms? And two of the boys said, never held one. And Frankie's like, I've shot before. I said,
because he's a badass.
Yeah. I said, Frankie, that's great. What have you shot? I shot my father's sawed-off shotgun. I said, how'd that go? He goes, I had a bruise on my face for 2 weeks. I said, Frankie, that's not going to happen here. You're going to be safe. So day goes on. He had the most anxiety of the other kids.
Yeah, I can understand why.
Yes, and by the end, I was getting his life story, that he was homeless with his sister and mother. He has jobs to do, and he doesn't know whether he'll be able to come out again because they have to probably move to Wyoming where they can afford an apartment. And then he goes on to tell me, I want to get my welding certificate and help my mom buy her first house.
Wow.
And all that in 2 hours.
All that came out in 2 hours.
In 2 hours.
Why do you think all that came out in 2 hours? I mean, this guy doesn't know you from Adam. He's out doing this thing. Why?
He felt that we trusted him and he trusted us. And I think he just needed that.
There's also something about focusing on something else. It might be your golf swing. It might be the fly rod, trying to get that there. But there's something, particularly for young people, when you're focusing on a skill. And shotgunning is a skill. It is unlike shooting anything else. I'm not a bad shot. I go to the shooting range. I'm not a bad shot. On a shotgun course, it is completely different because you are moving while you're pulling the trigger. It's a bit of a dance. It's a whole different. It's awful. It's just terrible. I'm not good at it. You gave me like one tip, and I improved twice as much on that one tip.
Thank you.
But for those kids to be able to focus on something, by focusing on that, it leaves some room for conversations around that.
The biggest difficulty that I see is they think it's going to hurt them with the recoil.
Yeah.
And so when I ask them on the patterning board to focus on patterning board.
What is that?
So the patterning board's used to see the shot size, and so the pellets. And so there's 5 holes.
For those who don't know, unlike a rifle that shoots one bullet, a shotgun actually sprays a bunch of what you could call BBs out in a pattern. That's how you shoot birds or clays. So you're not hitting a clay with one bullet, you're actually kind of spraying it with what's called lead shot. Shot are those
lead or
BBs.
steel.
Yeah.
We use lead. And so 12 gauge has 392 pellets on average. And so when I have them focusing on the hole, they're not thinking about the recoil.
Right.
They're focused on a point and putting all the lead through that hole, which you can't do because it's about 40 inches. And all of a sudden they go, well, that wasn't bad. I go, you did great. And all of a sudden they're like, I can do this. And when we focus on a clay versus on the recoil, if we're thinking about recoil.
First time you do a shotgun and you do it badly, if you have the wrong instructor, you don't want to touch one again.
That's right. And so we have several guns that we use, different sizes. So the second story was I fit the gun to the student. And I had a young woman, 20 years old, last week named Rosie. Petite little, beautiful little girl. And I said, Rosie, are you ready to mount the gun for the first time? Yes, Mr. Mills. So I get her in position, put the gun in her shoulder, and all of a sudden a tear comes down her eye. And I'm like, can I offer you a tissue? Yes, please. I said, we can start over. By the end of the day, Rosie didn't want to leave. She wanted to keep breaking clays. So from that anxiety to, I can do this.
And the lesson is, we're talking about at-risk kids. The lesson is overcoming an obstacle, learning a new skill, whether they shoot ever again, to take that challenge and master something. And you can do that. I've seen you work. You can do that in a couple hours. Take somebody from a novice to not a bad shot at all, but to master something new. Because I think when a kid then goes home and goes, I knew nothing about that this morning. I thought I was going to blow my shoulder off. But at the end of the day, I was shooting down these clay targets.
Let me show you video.
Yeah.
Let me show you a video. And I thank the parents.
They take videos?
They take videos. Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. And so when first I thank the kids for coming out here and wanting to do this. But then I make sure I thank their parents.
Because they're not coming out because they're doing community service or something. They want to come out.
They're not getting a merit badge.
Right. There's nothing forcing them out.
That's
they're
correct.
Truly curious about this.
Yes, but by thanking their parents for signing the waiver shows that they trust their child and they trust me and our program.
Well, and there's such misconception around firearms, and there's such fear around firearms, and it's not like it used to be where kids got an education. So this is strange for kids. I imagine a lot of parents do this with a lot of trepidation. Am I right? Do you ever have parents coming out with the kids?
No, but I have had parents say, I won't sign the waiver.
Really?
And so I then go back to Uplift and say, can I invite the father or the mother and the child out for a one-on-one session?
That's a lot of time and commitment for you.
Well, when you have a purpose in life, and my purpose is to get as many kids through this program and wanting them to come back because the program really works, that if I can prevent one accidental gun act by saying if you walk into a house and someone wants to show off a weapon or a firearm, and we treat every firearm as if it's loaded. So now they're learning some really good lessons that how to break open a gun to see if it's loaded. Does it have a trigger lock? Does it have a cable lock? And so now they have a new set of skills that they can empower their friends and say, that's not safe.
So not only are you empowering the kids, you are stopping gun accidents.
We believe we are.
I don't think there's any doubt that you
yeah.
are.
Thank you.
And when kids get together and they find a gun, it gets shown off. I mean, you know this. It gets passed around, and these kids, all they've seen on guns are on TV. So, they grab a gun with their finger on the trigger, not on the trigger rest, but on the trigger. It's just terrifying stuff. You can have one kid who says, "Hey, stop that!"
Yep. That's not being safe.
Yeah.
And so if we can,
Or wait, let's make sure it's unloaded before you act this way. It's going to save lives.
it's going to save lives. And the kids tell their friends, and then their friends come out because they want to experience this firsthand.
Keep using the term uplift.
Yes.
What is uplift?
So Colorado Uplift is a mentoring group here in Colorado, and they work with about 4,200 students in the public schools.
Wow.
And Dr. Joe Sanders is the head. And when I introduced this to Joe at a luncheon, he's like, "How do we sign up?" And they take them on camping trips. They'll do river rafting in the winter. They'll do skiing and snowboarding. So really experiences that these kids wouldn't have an opportunity for. And he said, well, firearm safety, he's former military. He said, firearm safety is key, and these kids won't get it unless there's a program like this.
You're absolutely right. They won't get it.
They won't get it. And
these kids who work with not-for-profits like Uplift, these are troubled kids. They've got challenges. Maybe that's the best way to put
I think challenges. I don't think there's an underserved. It's generally that they're not given opportunities. So what we're trying to do it through the foundation is give kids an opportunity at a private range where they can feel safe and where they can come and learn a skill.
Is this a one and done kind of thing? You take them out, they shoot once, and you gave them your experience, or do they come back?
They come back. So
really,
I've had some students come back. I think the most is 12 times.
Really?
And I offered to sponsor him to start competing.
Talk to me a little bit about shotgun competing. That shotgunning is a sport. It reminds me, I think this is not a bad analogy, it reminds me of a golf course. I've seen shotgunning courses where you go from station to station the same way you go from hole to hole. Golf hole has different hazards, challenges, dog leg left or right. With shotgunning, the clay pigeon can come from anywhere, go from anywhere. You can have two at a time. You can have one they call a rabbit, which jumps along the ground like a rabbit. I've never hit one of those. Never.
I have a new rabbit machine coming in about 2 months.
Really?
So I will get you breaking rabbits.
I wait until it stops rolling and I walk up to it and I blow it off the ground there. But it is a fascinating, expensive sport.
Yes.
I don't think it's as expensive as skiing, but it's right up there.
Well, you'd be surprised. I just got back from the national championship in San Antonio.
Yeah.
There were 3,500 competitors.
3,500?
Yes.
In one tournament?
In one tournament of all different classes, so from master class down to D class. And I've never felt safer than when I'm at the national championships with everybody having a gun.
3,500 guns there.
That's correct.
Yeah. We at Independence Institute do our alcohol, tobacco, and firearms party. Sadly, not in that order because, lawyers. But when people come out who are not gunnies, they go, what are all these guns out here? It's like, no, we know what we're doing.
That's right. And you have range safety officers. And so the travel, there's a joke in the sporting clay world. What's the difference between a professional shooter and a large pepperoni pizza?
Pizza will feed your family?
That's exactly right.
Have you ever won any of these tournaments?
So I've placed in the top 3.
Okay.
I've won local tournaments, but
for you, why is it that that sport compels you so?
So you're really shooting against yourself, and you're trying to raise the bar for yourself. I have a coach, and spend time at my range. We built Clay Connections at Valhalla because that's where my coach was until he passed in 2020. And so it was something to honor him, but also a place that we could use for the community.
So Colorado Uplift, this mentoring program, helps you connect and get these kids. Can other organizations do this if they're so interested? I mean, it seems like there are a lot of organizations that work with at-risk youth and want to help them.
John,
I don't even think they know you exist.
yeah, and we've kind of flown under the radar. We've worked with a Precious Child in Colorado Uplift. I've talked to Denver Parks and Rec when we first started through the POW program, which is now dismantled, and talked to Jake Schroeder, and he said, "Oh, call my friend at Denver Parks and Rec," and I got such a cold reception.
Tell me about that.
It was so outside of their thinking. They have swimming pools, but they didn't feel like shotgunning and learning firearm safety fit into their model. And so I had 2 conversations and done.
How disappointing that I wonder if they do archery.
Good question. And I've talked to the Boy Scouts of America to give them an alternative to the Heavenly Valley Ranch, and they're not interested.
What is the Heavenly Valley Ranch? Is this their shooting spot?
That's their kind of camp down in Kiowa.
Right.
And so I have enough kids right now that would I welcome other groups? Absolutely. I'm easy to get a hold of through Clay Connections, so claycf.org, and you can contact me through that. But honestly, I have the time to make a relationship with Uplift and a Precious Child. So
it's infuriating that Park and Recs, you offered to give these kids a new experience, which they walk away from learning things, including some skills that could save their lives on how you handle and don't handle a gun, and you're ostracized. I remember reading a letter by a shooter out in California, and he's gay, and he said, "Oh yeah, coming out as gay, that was nothing, but I can't tell anyone at work I'm a shooter because I will be shunned." And what a shame that there's that institutional vibe, particularly in urban areas. And I think what Clay Connections does is it bridges that divide, that you're bringing people from the urban area who've been raised in that to say, wait a second, I can learn from you, you can learn from me. And I've seen it in action. It's really
what's
amazing.
really fascinating is in the rural areas, you have 4-H club, so they're taught gun safety. In the city, we don't have programs like that. And through the NRA, which is ostracized around, they're all about guns and firearms and weapons, and it's like, no, they're not. They're really about gun safety and gun rights, of course. And I get an opportunity with these kids to talk about the Second Amendment right, which they're going, oh, I have the right to bear an arm? Yes.
Maybe that's why they don't want to work with you, because they might get a sense that, you have a First Amendment right, you got Fourth Amendment rights, but you also have a Second Amendment right. And I wonder if a lot of adults in the urban areas don't want their kids to know that.
That is part of it, no question. And like my mother came out, and I said, Mom, you and my stepfather have a firearm at home. Yes. Mom, have you ever practiced or trained with it? No. Mom, is it time? Yes. And so she's in her 80s, and she came out, I think she was probably 81, and said, I can do this.
And did she do it?
Yes. And so did my stepfather, and he's 90 now.
So your mom, did she hurt her shoulder with this?
Absolutely not. No.
It is really about overcoming a fear and a misunderstanding. And so in schools today, and to their credit, there's a lot of, there are people different than you. We need to understand them. There are things you don't know, you need to understand them. There are different ways of life, you need to understand them. As a father with a handicapped child, I am glad that people like my son are much more accepted in schools and in society in general today than they were when I was young, where they were just locked away. I feel a little the same way when it comes to something like this, that shotgunning, this very respectable sport, makes people go, oh, not you. You're not. No, I have already a preconceived notion of who you are because you do this.
As I do this, we also talk about, so a shotgun shell comes out of a gun at 1,200 feet per second. So it goes 25 yards in 1/32 of a second. So at 800 miles an hour out of the gun, there's recoil the other way.
Right.
So when I tell them that it only travels maybe 200 yards and then it loses energy, they're like, well, how far does a bullet go? I said, go a mile. What? And how fast does it go? It's twice as fast. And some go even further. Oh my gosh. So now they're getting the balance of what
Well, the difference is between a shotgun and a rifle.
and a rifle.
And by the way, if you're not a gunny or you haven't taken the time, they're the same thing for you. They both look the same. Don't judge a book by its cover. A shotgun sprays these little balls of lead or steel, and that dissipates pretty quickly. In fact, they can fall from the sky and land on your head, and it's not a thing. Whereas a bullet from a rifle has velocity and can keep going, as you said, for a mile and be very dangerous from a longer range.
And just the careless use of firing a pistol.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know where it's going to land or who it might affect. And so now these kids, and we've also started where they're shooting .22 caliber rifles at targets.
At
our
your place.
program.
Right.
And so we use a different area, which is a shooting range versus a shotgun range. And they get to shoot at steel and they aim. And they're like, well, there's no recoil in that.
Right.
And so as the kids advance through the program, we move them into different types of firearms as well.
You've been doing this for a number of years. Have anybody come back years later and said, hey, I remember you, and now I'm doing this?
So we really started this 2.5 years ago. And so not yet, but I do get feedback from the mentors who said, that was the best activity I've got to do.
Really?
Yeah.
This is your passion.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's such a unique passion. I don't know anyone else who's doing this. And you built a facility out of nothing. And you've got this very cool little place that is a beautiful shotgunning course. And when I was there, I saw you getting ready for the kids, and there was a BB gun out. And I was like, wait a minute, what's the BB gun for? And you said it was to get them comfortable at shooting at a target and helping them understand how to hold this thing.
Yep.
I never even thought about that.
And more importantly, how to control the trigger. You don't pull a trigger, you squeeze a trigger.
People say that,
Yes.
and I still don't always get that. And I guarantee you, every time I miss a target, it's because I'm pulling a trigger.
You're pulling your trigger. Yeah. So we want to teach them control. So how do you teach control? You want to almost be surprised when the gun goes off. That means your focus is so good and you're in control of your trigger pull.
The whole point is for these kids, you're teaching them how to control the trigger or how to control the gun, how to master this. Really what you're doing is teaching them how to control themselves.
That's exactly right.
You're teaching them how to focus. You're teaching them how to think. It's just been amazing. And talking to the kids who were there was one of the most worthwhile things I've ever done
Thank you.
to see how it's changing them.
We say to the kids that for every action, there's a consequence. And so you're in control of that action, and you have to understand what the consequence might be. And so that's the part for the young people that are going, wow, I do control something. Because mostly in their lives, it's out of control. And they are reactionary to their surroundings and to the circumstances they're in.
How much does it pull kids out of their reality? You know, I remember as a kid once, my folks took me to Lake Powell, and we were on a houseboat or something. It's like, I didn't know this part of the world existed.
Yeah, well, we're 30 miles outside of Denver. Okay, so 30-minute drive on I-70. And when kids come out, they see birds running around, and they see hawks in the air, and they're going, I didn't know this was here. Many of them probably have never been to DIA.
Big homeless problem at your place. A lot of litter. A lot of stolen cars.
A lot of stolen cars. Yeah. It's the key when my wife and I started this charity was we wanted a place that was safe, because a lot of kids don't have a safe place to be.
What do you mean safe?
Safe in the sense that it's comfortable, it's clean, that the shotguns are properly stored, so they come in and there's nothing that can harm them. Great story is I have 2 golf carts out there, and they'll go, Mr. Mills, can we drive the golf cart to the bathroom? And I said, yeah. They said, you trusting us with the golf cart? I said, stop for a second. I'm trusting you with a firearm. So if you mess this up, we're not going to get to the firearm. And so a lot of them have never driven, and they're dirt roads. And now we have a rule, you have to be 16.
Why did one of them land in the ditch?
They thought it'd be cool to do donuts with the golf cart.
It would be cool to
do but it's not always safe.
Right.
We don't have seat belts in the golf cart. And so in terms of a safe environment, that's a welcoming environment. And when these kids come out, they're anxious. They're like, okay, what am I getting myself into? And then once they're there, they're like, this is cool. Oh, you have a kennel? Are there puppies? And we take them over and they get to hold German short hairs. They're like, oh, this is cool. And so that's why I call it a safe environment, because we're in control of the safety.
Wrapping this up, what is it you need? I mean, I've seen this, and I want this operation to keep going. It is a project of passion right now. I hope it gets a life unto itself and becomes a charity that goes on for the next 100 years and grows. What is it you need? Probably money first if people want to help out, but what else do you need?
Well, the nice thing is that we are well-funded. And so in terms of...
well-funded by you, but that might not always be the case.
Yeah, I'd like to see it be able to be duplicable. So other ranges take this on and say, all I need is one station and a coach and a range safety officer. And then we can bring kids into Colorado Clays, to Kiowa, to all the ranges in Colorado, which there's 11. And then we can go even larger and go to other states where this is, it's totally needed. And we know it's needed. Is anytime you have gun education, that's a benefit for everyone, not just the kids, because they're going to be proud of themselves that they accomplished something. And when we're proud about something, we talk about it.
So somebody watching this, what do you want from them?
If they have an organization that they think could benefit from our foundation, just reach out to me or to you, and we'll get together and invite them out.
What you're doing is just such a gift.
Thank you.
It is a big-hearted thing you do, and it changes lives. It really does.
Thank you.
And more importantly, thanks for the tips on the shotgun, because I doubled my skill in one.
Well, we have time before the next shoot. And so I was talking to Freedom Service Dogs yesterday, and he was down at a shoot in Houston, and he said, I need to come see you. And so I welcome you to come back out. Your team has been out there, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. And as always, think freedom.
If you enjoyed that conversation, by all means, click one of these other great programs. We have the best conversations with the most fascinating Coloradans. And subscribe to our channel. Just click down below and hit that little bell button too. You don't want to miss a single show.